It's VHS Massacre Radio. I'm your host, Tom Seymour.
And I'm your host, Ken Powell.
I'm Dave Leute.
Hey! Welcome back, Dave Leute.
Thank you.
What were you going to ask me, Dave?
I said you don't have to spread your legs only half as wide.
I just spread them like this. I'm good.
So, Dave, I forget how long you took off, but I think you took off like a week or something.
A week?
From the podcast, yeah.
I think it was 2 weeks.
Was it 2 weeks? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I haven't had time these last 2 weeks because I got married.
Oh, okay.
I've been working. I moved.
Wow.
Played a lot of video games. Beat off a little bit. And now I'm here.
Oh, great.
Oh, yeah, Dave,
I didn't watch
forgot
my
to tell you, this is a PG podcast. We can't say beating off anymore. I'm just kidding.
Okay. I was like, I don't know what to do.
So anyway, well, I guess we should talk about. We could talk about some of the stuff that occurred. So Dave, do you not know what's happened at various points in the show for the last 6 months?
I have no idea what's going on.
Oh, okay.
The last 6 months, and only because
you know about the telly though, right? Did you know we won 3 tellies?
And I was looking. No, I saw we were nominated for tellies.
Oh,
for 3 tellies. Okay, so we won every one.
Yeah, well, VHS Massacre, the documentary, won 5 awards, including 3 tellies.
5 awards.
Yeah.
What were the tellies? What were the categories? I asked you that before.
The silver, which is the high award, is non-broadcast.
Silver is high.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
For like gold and like platinum.
They added gold and platinum only in the last. No, they added gold only in the last maybe 5 or 10 years. But for about 30 years, silver was the highest. Yeah. But it won for non-broadcast under $700 a minute. Considering we spent about $700 in the whole feature, I think we did pretty well.
Made it like bandits. We also bought a bear, but it ate our other audio engineer, and that's why we brought you back.
Oh yeah.
Does a rank for the Mama's Play Studio count as money spent?
I wish. That'd be a great write-off.
It would be.
Do you miss Mama's Place Studio now that we're at the fun stuff video store?
I kind of do. Yeah, kind of do. I went into a trade fair maybe 2 weeks ago. It was not even the one I normally went to. It was a different one, but it was set up the same way, and I was feeling nostalgic, and I missed the story a little bit. But.
Well, so for people who are listening, the show used to be run out of Mama's Place Studio,
my apartment,
for
named after
4 years,
my dog,
something like 4 or 5 years.
From 2012
it was
to
5 years. Yeah, dude. So 5 years.
So for 5 years, it was run out of Dave's place, and I have fond memories of that. That was pretty cool.
It was amazing.
Yeah, and
great meals cooked by Dave.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Now we're in the back of a video store, which is also interesting.
I think we made it.
Oh wow! Have you seen that movie?
Which one?
This one.
Oh, that is.
My hand is messing it up.
That is
Showgirls.
Showgirls. Yeah, it's
Showgirls 1 cup.
2 girls.
Showgirls 1 cup.
Centipede. Human centipede.
I don't think that even made it onto VHS.
Oh, these are VHS tapes.
Yeah,
Can I tell a random story about? Okay, do you all remember? It'll segue into something that'll sort of make sense. Do you remember this movie Pirates? Okay, there's this movie Pirates, and you could rent it at Blockbuster.
Is it porn?
Well,
yes, it was. It's with. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Well,
that was when pirating was big time.
Yes. Well, what had happened?
The first HD porns I ever seen.
Someone made a really expensive pornography film called Pirates.
Okay.
And
that's what I'm talking about.
And somehow, Blockbuster Video had always been traditionally family friendly, right?
Jenna Hayes was in that one. That was good.
Was it? Okay. All right. Anyway,
which Dave got that from the VHS Wikipedia.
But I never saw it. Well, go ahead.
Okay, so in any case, the point is that at some point, someone took the production company took the film, cut out all sexual content from it, and re-released it, and Blockbuster Video carried it at every store. So the Blockbuster Video...
So they took out the hardcore stuff. and left in like the boobs and
I have no idea what they were able to leave in, but the point is, an adult film, they simply cut out the fun parts or bad parts, whatever you want to call it, and they were able to re-release it in Blockbuster Video. Meanwhile, films like made by Lloyd Kaufman, Toxic Avenger, those were scarcely seen in Blockbuster Videos. Yet, essentially, PG porn or R porn was allowed in Blockbuster. So I thought that was very interesting. So,
but they had to probably have the rights to show stuff in the store. So you would need to spend money to have your movies in Blockbuster. Just like you.
It's like some almost like lobbying, right? A little greasing the wheels.
Like in a grocery store, you don't think companies just can go to the grocery store and say, "Oh, I got this new product. I'm going to put it on your shelves." The shelf space is limited, so they have to basically give them the grocery store money to get like prime.
Well, I'm sure that
shelf space
in the very definitely true is that Blockbuster negotiated directly with the film studios. So So
exactly.
They got very discounted, or it was revenue share directly with the studios. So that's why it was like 900 copies of like Armageddon or whatever.
That's like JP at off the Vine. He never had the liquor I liked because he said if I wanted it, he would have to get the whole Seagram's.
Right. Yeah, like you have to get it's from a distributor, right?
Yeah.
So you have to pick a certain.
You can't just get one movie. You have to get the whole lineup of movies.
Right. Yeah, that would make
As
sense.
an analogy.
So since the last VHS Massacre documentary, we chronicled the last. That was pretty much the last Blockbuster in Queens, right? I mean,
didn't it just go down?
Another one was it Flushing or Jackson Heights?
Yeah.
It's in Jackson Heights, right? Yeah, that one closed maybe within a couple of years of us starting work on the documentary, and we documented that one, which I think one of the beliefs that was the last one here in Queens.
Queens, possibly New York. I don't know of any. Now.
Yeah, I mean, because we were shocked that they're still open.
They're completely done.
Well, there was one in Alaska, and that closed, and now the last Blockbuster in the United States of America is in Bend, Oregon. And we reached out to a fellow filmmaker, Tom Poirer, and he went out and he shot a bunch of footage for us.
Nice.
So we actually have footage from the last Blockbuster in the United States.
Since early 2012, a lot has changed. I mean, all the video stores that have closed. Our first VHS hunt was in a video store here in Astoria, and not too long after we did that hunt, it closed. We've seen on the news recently, like there's only 2 Blockbusters left, and one of them closed in Alaska, so there's only one of those left now.
And yes, it still looks like the old original Blockbuster Video, even with the torn ticket stub light on the side of the building. And the sign out on the street, the last Blockbuster Video in the United States. This stuff, I understand, was actually given to the Alaska store. They ended up closing anyway, and so they ended up here. So, and you have a French officer's uniform from Les Miserables.
When the John Oliver show found out that they didn't know about our store, so they were like, we need to try to save the Alaska stores. Russell Crowe was doing a personal auction of some of his movie props, so they went to the auction, bought a handful of them, and then donated them to the Alaska Blockbuster store. Ultimately, unfortunately, it didn't help save them, and so they had to go somewhere.
Brings back memories, doesn't it?
In the world, we've seen the rise of streaming more than ever now, where we have even comic book companies are getting into streaming, which DC Comics has now created their own digital streaming service. So the rise of digital is, we might not even have reached the crest of that tide as Disney themselves are coming up with their own digital streaming platform. So a lot has changed in the way that we like view movies in a few short years.
It's like VHS tapes. People forgot about them. They're not there anymore. People have them stacked up in their garages, and they don't think about them. They just throw them in the trash or give them to Goodwill. So it's become like the idea of a video store and getting up and coming with your family and having that family gathering where you pick out movies and you go home and you put popcorn and you watch them and you have to remember the return date and all that. Like that's unfortunately it's kind of it died. It's become something that's expendable. So I'm proud to know that we're still doing it and we're still making it work. There is an immense amount of traffic that comes in here, and it's gotten a lot more since people find out we're the last one. So we love that.
We've seen movies that have like never gone past the VHS. You know, they stopped there, and they've never made their way onto DVD, Blu-ray, and I would think there's probably even a slimmer chance that those movies will make it into digital in some kind of platform. And there are movies out there that have been completed and only available on VHS, that were completely shot on VHS and transferred onto VHS, that will be gone from history once those deteriorate.
Do you have any VHS tapes in the store?
No.
It's all DVD and Blu-ray?
It's all DVD and Blu-ray, yeah. They stopped making VHS in 2004. So we stopped carrying them as soon as when they stopped manufacturing them. We actually started transitioning to DVD and Blu-ray a few years before that.
Interesting story that when I myself worked for Blockbuster, I was part of that transition where we had the order from corporate that we couldn't sell or give away or even personally take any of the old VHS tapes. We had to double garbage bag and put them all in the dumpster. And we even had district managers coming in and supervising that to make sure that took place.
So you were watching the stuff and you had some good points, or you just you were talking about how.
Well, I mean, I was asking how he filled the shelves, and I guess he would. Ken, what did you say?
You buy DVDs.
They still,
still make them.
But I forget about that.
I guess you're a total digital consumer now, right?
Completely.
So.
And I don't buy it. I rent it.
So you never go into a Target or Walmart or go pass by the DVDs or check them out?
Yes, I will do that, but they're never what I was saying was usually the Blockbuster for me was you go there and you find out what the newest thing that came out.
Yeah.
If I went to Target to buy a movie, it would be like Spaceballs or something like that. But I already own that.
I could see that. Most of the films that I buy these days are also older movies and not necessarily anything that's coming out new. But you also were questioning why people would go there.
Yeah, they asked us why would you even bother? Because it was
but it's an experience though. There's for some people it's nostalgia. For other people it's to experience that because.
Well, you enjoy it because you did it as a kid. And that's why it's nostalgic to you, because you're remembering what it was like when you went to Blockbuster as a kid, and it was this is.
But if a father could take his son to there and have him have the same experience, that was part of my childhood, is going with your dad, and he picks out his movie, I get to pick out mine, my sister gets to pick out hers.
That's a good point.
They do just sell movies outright, so I think of it, even if you thought of it as an antique store, and you drag a kid in there and he buys some candy.
It's like going to one of those burger shops that are from the 70s. They have the soda jerk and stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe that's your thing.
Experience.
It's not nice to call people jerks, Dave.
Yeah, jerk.
But I thought the John Oliver angle, I thought that story was hilarious. John Oliver bought a shitload of Russell Crowe memorabilia. He bought
They didn't hear that story.
They did.
The audience did. Well,
because that's in the doc.
Yeah, because
I couldn't hear it. You guys didn't play the audio for me.
Yeah, we should play it for you beforehand.
It's okay.
Can't look pains. There was the uniform from Les Mis, and then they had the boxer robe from Cinderella Man, and they also had the Robin Hood cowl, which you saw, right?
Yes. I said Simon.
So the Simon cowl.
Yes.
But I just thought that was a funny angle. John Oliver threw this money at the Alaska store, not knowing that this one in the United States ever existed, Sort of ironic for someone who's supposed to be kind of a journalist.
So how did they get it? The memorabilia?
Because when it went out of business, it was either throw it all in the garbage or ship it to the last actual Blockbuster in the United States.
Oh, okay.
So they
so
shipped
it was
it
kind of
to,
just on display, but they didn't just outright give them the stuff.
I think John Oliver bought it.
Bought it for the Alaska store.
But like placed it as it's like his stuff, not necessarily gave it to the store. Because if they gave it to the store, if the people went under, they would have sold that stuff, wouldn't they? Not give it to them.
I think they did
It
it
does
as...
make sense. Like, yeah, well, it is a gracious thing they did.
Yeah. It's like a little, since you are now the U.S.
Oh,
Because
so
it was given to them, like it didn't pay anything
I get
for
you.
it.
So it was like a, I get you.
It was a good
Yeah, it's
gesture.
like a real
Yeah.
donation.
Yeah.
But you bring up a good point. I love Russell
Passing
Crowe.
that torch.
I think the Cinderella Man boxing role would be cool. Les Mis, I don't need, and
Have you guys seen Cinderella Man? That was new. That's new. It just came out, right?
yeah, 2010 or something. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
If you've been in
Great
Troma for 8 years.
Speaking of, and this is way off topic, but I just want to interject the Manifest. Did you see that?
No, what is that?
Manifest, the TV show. It was about the plane that took off and then they disappeared, basically.
The Malaysian one?
Oh, like 5 years ago?
No, it was just like a plane takes off and it disappears, and everybody on Earth thinks they're dead because 5 years goes by and then the plane lands, and these people on the plane, no time has passed.
Oh, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So that just started, so that was pretty neat.
It seems like it's becoming a very big trope in TV, though, of like the people that disappear and come back. And everybody's lives has changed.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was only 5 years, and I was like, how much can change in 5 years?
There's a few of those shows that have come out.
Well, all the Blockbuster videos can die. Anyway.
But that's what I was thinking. Back to...
well, beyond that, what else do we have for news? Anything new?
Well, we
Bill
could.
Cosby. 3 to 10. Okay.
We do have also another clip, the Troma,
Oh,
which
yeah.
we talked about, I think, a couple times already, but we actually have some footage that you prepared for my visit. So I went out to a Troma set, which they were working here in Astoria, which is really cool. In kind of a premier section, broken down houses and warehouses, and a lot of construction going on. Kind of fitting for Troma, it's definitely part of Troma's image. Like the house that they were using, probably like one good rainstorm from being condemned, but that's the Troma way. I'm sure they got it for the cheap. They were very open to having me behind the scenes and filming these guys as they were setting up for their shots for the day. But I was able to get Lloyd in action.
To make it competitive, so we can pick states.
He loves having people there to cover his movie shoots, and because he knows it's going to be kind of like free press. That helps attract eyes. That's been a lot of the cornerstone of their PR. To not spend a lot of money on PR, but to be out there as much as possible. So he's traveling to easily 100 different places in a year, from screenings to cons. Absolutely. And always meeting fans and remembering a lot of fans, and it's pretty amazing. So Lloyd Kaufman's Shitstorm. Yes, we are back. Yeah, Shitstorm.
Is that his? It was Shakespeare's Shitstorm.
Shakespeare's Shitstorm, yeah. Right? Is it his last film or what, man? Do you know? Because I read a tweet about Toxic Avenger 5,
I think we talked about this on the last podcast. I wouldn't want that to be his last movie. I wouldn't even want Toxic Avenger 5 to be his last movie. But
sounds like a PR ploy.
It'd be a better farewell, like him going out with the house that Troma was built on.
Yeah,
Toxie's back.
And, I think so too.
Toxic Avenger 5, a movie that's been in development hell probably for almost over a decade now.
He's got time. He's still got it. I mean, you're on the set. He's still moving and shaking.
Yeah. He was all over the set. He got there a few minutes after I did, and that day you can't see it in that video, but it was one of the most brutal days in New York City. He was. It was real bad that day. Like as soon as I stepped out of the car, I was like, oh god, this place sucks. But Lloyd was out there, like, running around doing his thing, and that was the beginning of his day. So I'm sure he was still going till whatever time they wrapped.
When did you get there? Was it early?
It was around 3. It was about 3 o'clock.
Wow.
He got there around about 3:15, 3:30. And again, like I say, he was off and running. They handed him his production book, and he was going back and forth, making sure everything was where it was supposed to be.
Wow. So I just think I can't wait to see it. I loved Return to Nukem High 1 and 2. I thought it was great. Should we? What do you think? Should we get into the old movie?
Movie review. Well, let me see if I can pull it out from back here. The old illusion. You guys didn't see me bring this back. Oh, there we go. I found our movie, Body Melt.
Oh, Body Melt. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I like that movie, man.
Can we try Alexa with this, or should we try the VHS Lupedia?
Well, VHS Lupedia it was not very helpful with Body Melt, so maybe we should go to Alexa and see if she can come with something better.
Are you saying Body Melt was not in the VHS Lupedia?
The information, there was nothing in it that was worth reiterating. Like nothing that I could find that you can find through just to go on Wikipedia.
Yes.
Okay, so what did I want to say first is that I asked a question. This is probably a few months back when we were watching other melt movies like Slime City, Slime City Massacre with Debbie Rochon, and it was like, what was your favorite melt movie? And Street Trash came up constantly. I love Street Trash. It's fucking great. But what came up either just as much or right behind it was Body Melt. Everyone would talk about Body Melt. So I was like, okay, Body Melt has got to be like the number 1 or the number 2 of melt movies, the subgenre of horror known as melt movies, in which the focus is people melting. Anyway, that being said, hey Alexa, what is Body Melt? Can't hear her.
She's kind of shy now.
Hey Alexa, what's Body Melt?
You got this, right?
Body Melt is a 1993 comedy movie starring Gerard Kennedy, Andrew Dotto, and Ian Smith. Residents of peaceful Pebbles Court, Holmesville, are being used unknowingly as test experiments for a new body drug that causes rapid body decomposition, melting skin, etc., and painful death. Its runtime is 1 hour, 21 minutes. It has an IMDb rating of 5.1 out of 10 and is rated OW.
Rated OW.
Ow.
Rated OW. Thanks, Alexa.
Rated ow.
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 Okay.
And painful to watch.
I don't. Do you have any? My favorite Samurai Cop. What do you think? Do you want to try to summarize this thing? I don't know.
I thought Alexa did a pretty good job there. No, I honestly felt like the beginning of the movie was kind of what Alexa just said about the health company that has these vitamins that people are taking and they're causing them to transform into these gross body melt creatures. Then there was a moment where the movie went out into it's an Australian film, so they
Very
go out
Australian.
to
They push their political agenda.
They push whatever agenda that was.
wieners. They push wieners.
No, because we always talked about the good bad movies.
Mm-hmm.
They always have that political.
Oh, there's always some angle like environmentalism
Yeah.
or. Oh, I can't even.
No.
Maybe it's Big Pharma. Maybe it's rebelling against Big Pharma.
Well, I did read, and I guess maybe I can pull this back from the VHSopedia, that it's a satire based upon the health craze that was going on in Australia at the time, which I don't. It was a weird thing to kind of, to make a satirical comedy about, because it's a good thing being healthy, but
Yeah, but like here, like if James was here, he would say kale's a superfood, right?
Yes.
That kind of thing.
James was supposed to be here.
He's supposed to
Where
be
are
here.
you?
Where are you doing?
All right. Anyway.
But then it goes. You have these two, I guess, bro-type characters that end up out in the middle of nowhere to get their windshield fixed. And I felt like that portion felt a little bit different. About it was a different type of movie. There was no melting going on. There was some kills, but that family was really fucked up.
Were there two directors?
No, it was just one director.
It was
Writers?
It was very interesting. I mean, it starts out with like a bunch of sort of bodybuilder types, and then this one woman's having sex with this man, and then she injects him with something without him knowing, and then he leaves, and she's like, "Oh yeah, he's gonna be fucking dead immediately," and then he essentially runs into a convenience store, and then crashes his car into a sort of cul-de-sac area, and then melts, and they all sort of melt in various ways that look pretty cool. It's fairly interesting melting.
Yeah, definitely. The special effects are well done. You can tell they were influenced by Peter Jackson's early work when he was director in New Zealand, like Bad Taste and Brain Dead
Or Dead Alive.
Dead Alive. Yeah.
When was Mad Max and all those? Those are 80s.
Let's see, Mad Max was I believe 78 or 79,
wow. Yeah, okay.
and then the second one was in 82.
Way before.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was there. I felt like there was definitely a little bit of like cultural shorthand that maybe I was missing. And
Well, it sounds like it was based off of their culture there, like their health craze. Or whatever.
that thing that was happening there.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll say is if you're looking for a film that like is the 90s, like the music the music is so bad, and it is like incredibly 90s,
Like synth stuff.
yeah, like synth and weird, like sort of hokey. It's just sort of all over the place. Yeah, and it's multiple stories going on at the same time. It's sort of confusing, right?
That's why I thought they maybe
Yeah.
like two writers or something.
No, I don't think there's two writers. I mean, I think this was the director's first major film that he had directed. So maybe, and I think he'd done short films before, and then a documentary at one time. So maybe there was a little bit of inexperience with that. But yeah, you had a subplot with the lady who was working for the pharmaceutical company. You had like the pregnant lady. I mean, you had like all these different little stories that were going on that I think really wanted to tie together in some way, but some of them really didn't. Especially, like I say, when the two bro guys go out into the middle of nowhere.
There was this connection where it was almost like the hills have eyes. Like they went out to this place to like vacation, and it was this sort of like, I don't know how to say it. Yeah, it was just like out in the boondocks, and these people look inbred and have horrible sores, and you find out that this was, I guess, the sort of ground zero of the chemical experimenting. And
Well, I know if you know anything about Australia, there's the Outback.
No.
Some steakhouse. No,
Foster's.
That'd be it. No, I mean like this is almost like a desert.
Yeah.
Like no man's land and stuff like
Well,
that.
there's large portions that are inhabitable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's depicting that, and then at some point, that one of the scientists goes back to that farm place where those two people were long died, and you find out that they were experimented on. That's why they looked that way, and they had withheld a specific ingredient, and the ingredient was the thing that kept everyone from, like, essentially, because they had removed this thing, that's why everyone's dying. So it ties together, but it's just so diffused because it's over the course of like a couple of hours, 80 minutes, which is not long actually. But it just feels very disjointed. It feels like you're getting to know random people. This jogger, he's a health nut, and then he melts. And then the pregnant lady melts, and then the guy melts.
There's this bodybuilder with a lady.
A lady voice, and with a lady, and who has a lady voice. And he melts.
But I will give it this: if you want, boobs in your movie, there are a couple of pairs of boobs, and even the older lady at the beginning of the movie, not bad looking, not bad on the eyes. So there's that.
Joe Bob Briggs would be proud, I think.
So it sounds like this, instead of a feature-length movie, would be better as a short story type of thing.
Possibly, but I don't want to say anything particularly bad about it because people really like this film, and apparently it's one of the best melt movies ever made. So, far be it for me to judge it,
Well, in terms of like being off-putting, like this is probably up there of like some of the melts are really disgusting and kind of make it hard to watch at points.
That's the genre.
Yeah, man, melt movies. I would say still, Street Trash is the Cadillac, right?
This is the Gremlin, the Pinto.
This is the
Dodge Charger,
Ford Fairlane.
This is like a Chrysler, I think.
Buick Skylark.
I swear, you look at these lists of melt movies, it's like, but you have to determine what's a melt movie. Like, is Toxic Avenger a melt movie?
Because he melted one.
Is Wizard of Oz a melt movie? Because the witch
is
melts?
the first Batman movie a melt movie.
Because the Joker.
What happened to the Joker?
I say no. I think the focus has got to be the melting.
Yeah. Well, I think it should involve multiple melts too, right? I mean, there should be.
Yeah, there should be multiple melts.
Yeah, or at least one very graphic. Well, then that would make maybe Indiana Jones would be a melt movie because that was a pretty graphic melt.
Oh, yeah, how's it going?
But one melt.
Yeah, it's one melt.
Yeah, I think it can't be. It's got to be about the melting, which means Street Trash, Body Melt, Slime City. That's the ballpark you're working with, I think.
Anybody else thinking of a tuna melt?
Movie with a good tuna melt? I don't know.
Turkey melt's pretty good, dude.
Yeah, turkey.
In celebration of Joe Bob Briggs' approved Christmas special, maybe I should give it the old 4 stars for Body Melt, one of the greatest melt movies ever made.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
I'm melting.
I would go 3.5 melts.
Oh yeah,
yeah, melted bodies, melted boobies.
Nice.
Tu mantequilla.
I don't know what that means.
That means margarine.
Oh,
you should have watched the movie, Dave.
I did watch it.
Any?
I gave it two sticks of margarine.
2 sticks of margarine. 2 melts. Any other thoughts?
No. Well, it's on Amazon Prime, so if you guys are interested in checking it out, it's there. It's free to watch if you're a Prime member, so you don't have to get a VHS copy. It's available also on I think DVD, and there might be a Blu-ray. I think there's even a Blu-ray.
Great. Okay.
Can you stream it live?
Yeah, Amazon over the Twitch. No, that'd be illegal and get a shutdown.
Mm-hmm. Well, Dave, any final thoughts about your triumphant return to now what is known as VHS Massacre Radio?
Did you get my permission to chase me? No.
I think that was the week you were off. I think.
Oh, okay. The 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks off.
It
was a long 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
I miss it.
Oh.
Miss you guys.
Oh.
2 weeks. It's only 2 weeks, but
it was only a couple of
weeks.
All right. Anyway, thanks for listening. I'm your host, Tom Seymour.
And I'm your other host, Tim Powell.